All right, VIA, his IG. The problem, Adrien Broner is back. He said he's in training looking for an opponent. How do I feel about this? Well, first off, before I get into the video, give it a thumbs up if you like it. If you dislike, thumbs down. Subscribe to the channel because that is what helps me out the most. And when you sub, hit that notification bell. With that being said, let's get into it. Now, it's no secret. There's a part of me that likes Adrien Broner, despite him going to jail, despite him trying to flirt with a little 16-year-old, despite him staying in and out of the media for being in trouble. All of that being said, there's something about AB that I've always liked, and I've always wanted to see him do good. And let me say this, despite him talking about he's going to run up on people and rob them, despite all his BS, there's still something about AB that I like. There's still a part of AB that I've always wanted to see him get serious, get it together, because I've always seen the potential that he has. Now, what do I mean by the potential? The thing about AB is, even in the fights that he's lost and had a draw against Vargas, the thing is, when he lets his hands go, there is no denying his skill. It is undeniable that he can fight. It is undeniable that when he stops trying to fill his shell, when he stops trying to emulate Floyd Mayweather Jr., which he cannot do, he is a good fighter. He has a lot of potential, still has potential, even though he is getting up there in age. And he did say in this tweet that he wants to show people that he's not old. I don't think age is a factor with AB. What I think is dedication and his desire to actually train and stay in shape. Now, what do I think the best plan for AB would be? Well, the thing about AB is, I know he's been asking for $10 million from PBC, Fox, Showtime, etc. He's probably not going to get $10 million, and I'm still unclear if he actually got paid for fighting Pacquiao, because there was reports saying that he did not get paid the money that he was due. So I'm not sure if he got paid or not, but here's the thing about AB. Despite how many losses, the draws that AB has had, he always sells out arenas because he knows how to put asses in seats. Think about it like this. If you go to UFC, all my MMA fans, you go to UFC, Chael Sonnen was about the same way. He couldn't win a fucking elite fight to save his damn life. But damn, he could talk. Damn, he could put asses in seats. Damn, he can make it good for the UFC as far as investments goes. And that's what AB is. Even though he hasn't won in a long time at the highest level, he can still sell out arenas. And that alone makes him deserve a big paycheck. See, the thing is, there's the sport aspects to boxing, but there's also the entertainment. See, it is an entertainment sport. It's always been an entertainment sport. The biggest names in boxing, when you think about Muhammad Ali, I'm too pretty. I'm too pretty. He too ugly to be the champion. You need somebody pretty like me. You know what I'm saying? Ali, all about the entertainment. Mike Tyson, I'm going to eat his children. All about the entertainment. They were good athletes, but there was also the entertainment aspect. Now, Broner is a decent athlete who has potential to be a great athlete, but he has the entertainment part of the sport down packed. And because of that, people pay to see him fight. With that being said, where do I think he should campaign at? Do I think he should go back to 147? Probably not. AB was never a true welterweight. Although he does blow up in weight, he looks like he's fat at 190 pounds walking around. But his true best weight, in my opinion, is 140 pounds. And this is segueing into something. We know AB will sell out. We also know that a new rising star that's got a lot of people jumping on this hype train is still not got all the fans needed to be a megastar. Well, who am I talking about? Who am I alluding to? Who put him in there against AB would get him to a bigger fan base, get him seen by more people? That's Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez wants to go to 140. I believe Adrien Broner's best weight is 140. However, AB's been around 147 for a long time. So he's used to being there with bigger, harder hitting guys. So him going back down to 140, I don't think what the guys are going to throw at him is going to affect him as much as it would at 140. So I think he'll be very durable. He's already durable. Don't get me wrong. A guy who can't let his hands go for 10 fucking rounds and then swing punches and look great is definitely durable. So I think AB needs to go back to 140. I think this would be a great fight for Teo because what it's going to do is it's going to put him in there with a very skilled fighter, a guy who probably will not be able to beat him due to lack of inactivity, and it will give Teo an introduction to the bigger guys. Even though AB's not that tall, he carries a lot of weight, and he's used to being in there with welterweights. So what I'm saying is it's a step-up fight for Teo in the aspect of he wants to move up. I think it would be foolish for him to jump in there with Josh Taylor. I don't think it's going to happen, and if it did happen, I see Teo probably getting stopped fairly early. Because what I did see, and I'm not throwing shade at Teo, I'm just not sold on him, but I think he's a good fighter. I said that after he knocked out Comey. I thought he was a good fighter, but Lomo showed the same thing that I saw against Comey. He has a lot of holes in his defense, which means he's going to get hit. Lomachenko hit him a lot in that second half of the fight when he let his hands go. And the 11th round, he had him hurt. Now, Loma's not the biggest puncher. When he gets in there with a guy like Josh Taylor, who went in there against Regis and him fought in a phone booth. They fought in a phone booth, and Regis can bang. And he's not a 135-pound guy banging. He's a 140-pound guy banging who could probably go up to 147. So he's a big banger, and Josh Taylor sat in the booth with him. So I don't think it would be good for Teo to jump in there with Josh because I don't think – I just look at it like this. If Loma could hurt him, that means Taylor could stop him. And what you don't want is you don't want Teo moving up too fast, feeling the bigger, stronger guys, and folding because he's not used to it. See, he's got to get his punch tolerance up. So I think AB would be a good threshold for him because AB, although he doesn't let his hands go, he's very defensively sound. So if he can crack through that Philly shell when AB's not going to be aggressive, then, it'll get him used to breaking defenses down. When AB does let his hands go, it's not that frequent. So even if he can crack through the shell, which I believe he would, of Teofimo Lopez, he's not really going to hit him enough to cause concern of putting Teofimo Lopez away. It's not really going to cause concerns of you losing on the scorecards, and you don't really have to worry about AB knocking you out unless you have a glass jaw, and I don't believe Teofimo Lopez has a glass jaw at all. I believe he's very durable to the punch because, like I said, especially in that 11th round with Lomachenko, he was getting unloaded on, hit combo after combo after combo, and what happened the very next round? He came back and had his best round of the fight in that 12th round. So I think Teo is durable, and I think he has punch resistance, but you want to step him up to the harder hitters, and I think that's what AB can be used as. AB has proven that when he lets his hands go, he can back up welterweights. He can do it. He floored Sean Porter, and Porter has got a chin of stone, so AB's got a strong enough hit to be considered a true welterweight, in my opinion. So what you do is you put Teofimo Lopez in there with AB, which should be a fight that he would win. Now, what it's doing for Teo is getting him used to being hit by a true welterweight, because I can say at this point in time, through aging and being in the weight division for so long, AB is a true welterweight, even though I believe that that's not his best weight class. I believe he should be a junior welterweight or a super lightweight, however you want to look at it. I call them juniors, not supers. So you bring him down there, the junior welterweight, and Teo will get used to being hit by a stronger puncher. Because I think single shots, AB hits harder than Josh Taylor. People could argue with me, but I would argue back that I believe blow by blow, AB has a stronger punch. So if you get Teo used to taking a harder punch, when Taylor hits him, it's not going to hurt him as much, especially how Teo fights. So you want to get him more punch resistance before throwing him in there. And again, I think it's a good step-up fight. Number two, financially, it makes sense. AB, like I said, sells out. He's got his own crowd, his own fan base. That'll be his fan base forever. No matter what he does, no matter how many fights he loses, AB's fans are loyal. The loyalty is proven by how many seats he sells and how many people pay to watch him fight. That's set in stone at this point because he hasn't had a good record for the last 4 years, and people still sell out to watch him. So he's proven that'll be there. So you get more of an audience to see you, a different audience than what would have been watching Lomachenko. Okay? You're going to get a lot of money there because it's AB. And you're going to make a lot more money probably fighting AB than you would Josh Taylor. I can guarantee you that Adrien Broner versus Teofimo Lopez rakes in more money than Josh Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez just because AB sells so many seats. Just because he's such a good, I don't want to say spokesman, he's not a spokesman, but just because he's such a good promoter. He promotes himself so well that people are paid because people just want to see a shade of what it used to be. Now, there is the flip side to it, the third one. If Teofimo Lopez loses to Adrien Broner, it devastates his credibility at a higher weight class. But again, I think it is a slim chance that AB would beat him. And I think at the end of the day, if he loses to AB, who was a welterweight for so long, at 140 pounds, all it does is send Teo back down to 135 to where he can fight a few more fights and then work himself back up to go to 140. See, the thing is, there's no shame in somebody moving up in weight and losing. What there's shame in is if you fight somebody at your own weight that's not qualified and they beat you. So I don't think it would hurt his stock. It would just hurt him in the aspect of being able to move up in weight. But I think it's less devastating for him to go in there with AB and possibly get outpointed, which is highly unlikely. But I'm just saying, let's say AB shows up like he used to be, looks spectacular, outboxes Teo, and wins on points, okay? I think that is less devastating than him jumping in there with Josh Taylor and getting knocked out. Because if he jumps in there with Josh Taylor and gets knocked out, people are automatically going to say, this guy right here, he's nothing special. He was just a weight bully, a bigger man than Loma, and that's why he won, which I do not believe. But I'm just saying, I foresee excuses coming because in order for Teo to be considered great, because he's already on the right track by beating Lomachenko. I don't care about the shoulder injury. If you get in that ring injured, then you are responsible for what happens to you. And you can't use that as an excuse because you knew that you had a pre-existing injury before you got in there. You took the risk. You thought you could win. And then after you lose, now it's an issue. No, if it wasn't an issue before, it's not an issue after. So I don't want to hear about shoulder injuries. So Teo is already on that track to create a legacy by beating Lomachenko. But if he loses to Josh Taylor, especially by getting knocked out, I can guarantee you all the pound for pound list that he's jumped up higher than I believe he should be, because a lot of people have him in the top 5, which is ridiculous to me, because you got people like Chocolatito, who I believe should be way higher than him. I would even say Tyson Fury should be way higher than him, considering Tyson Fury ended 2 long reigning champions. Despite he hasn't had title defenses, it's irrelevant. He beat Vladimir, took his long reign. He was very close to breaking the heavyweight title defense. He already had beat it on years held by the belt, but he was almost there on actual defenses. So he broke that record. He goes away for just about 3 years, comes back, and dethrones Deontay Wilder, who had the longest reign at heavyweight at that time, 10 title defenses. So he stopped 2 long reigning heavyweight champions. And when he beat Wilder the way that he beat Wilder, you could say Ortiz had Wilder hurt, but it's irrelevant because he fought through it. He came back, knocked Ortiz out. And the second fight, Ortiz didn't have him hurt. People could be like, oh, he was just being outboxed. No, he wasn't. He was not being outboxed. He was fighting a smart fight. He knew Ortiz was old. He knew Ortiz's power would fade. He knew Ortiz was slowed out to where it could catch him. So he just stretched it out. He didn't take any real damage in that second fight against Ortiz. And then when that time came, he put him away. There was no point in time that Wilder looked like he was at risk of being hurt or knocked out in that second Ortiz fight. So nobody has made Deontay Wilder look like Tyson Fury did in that second fight. So with that being said, I have Tyson Fury way higher on my list. I dropped Lomachenko from number 2. I've always had him number 2. I never thought he was better than Bud Crawford. Y'all can check. And I'm kind of getting off topic here. But I dropped Lomachenko down to number 8. The reason why I dropped him down to number 8 is because we don't know how good Teofimo Lopez is or is not, okay? What I mean by that is Teo may be the next Lomachenko. He may go up to 140 and beat Josh Taylor and get all the belts. Because I'm already saying Josh Taylor because Ramirez is not going to stand a chance against Josh Taylor. I'm sorry for your Ramirez fans. He looked horrible in his last fight. I've watched him fight before. The dude only knows how to fight one way. He can't adapt. Josh Taylor's way too adaptive, and he's just going to outbox him. So if Teo goes up there and beats Josh Taylor, then you're looking at a guy who is undisputed. So here's the thing. There's a gray area right here, okay? Is Teo really undisputed because of Devin Haney? I say no. But the boxing world says yes. And at the end of the day, this is one of the things where it's like arguing who really won the fight. Use Triple G Canelo as an example. I believe Triple G beat him in the first fight. But it doesn't matter what I believe because at the end of the day, the history books say it was a draw. Just like it doesn't matter that I don't believe that he's undisputed. I don't believe it. But in the history books, it will be written that Teofimo Lopez is undisputed. So with that being said, if he moves up, beats Josh Taylor, that's 2 weight classes, he's undisputed. Right then and there, he automatically leapfrogs from number 10 on my list to number 2 on my list, right behind Bud. The only thing that's saving Bud from, at that point, not being under Teo is the fact that Bud Crawford himself was undisputed. And he's won 3 weight divisions, whereas Teo would be 2, but Teo would be undisputed in 2 different ones. So if people put Teo above Bud, I could understand that argument. But when I look at how many fights they've had, Bud's just had too many fights for me to leapfrog Teo over him. But I would say, off that win alone, Teo has proven himself to be number 2 in the world, pound for pound, on my list, leapfrogging everybody above him. As far as Lomachenko goes, I dropped him from number 2 to number 8. I don't think one loss, especially against a guy who we don't know how good he is. Because if Teo turns out to be what Loma was made to be, then I can't see Lomachenko coming off my top 10 pound for pound if he loses to the real up-and-coming pound for pound king. See what I'm saying? So, again, that's why I moved him down to number 8, and I leapfrogged Teo to being on my list because he wasn't on my list before, and now he is. So with that being said, again, I think that Adrien Broner, to get back to topic, is the best fight for Adrien Broner, and it's the best fight for Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez has a lot of eyes on him. Adrien Broner always has a lot of eyes on him, and the fans that Teo will bring is completely different than the fans that Adrien Broner will bring. Both guys will bring their own fans to make a true mega fight in the sense of ticket sales. In the sense of it being competitive, not really a mega fight in my opinion, off of how Broner has looked lately. But again, I would argue that Broner's best weight class was junior welterweight. And with Teo wanting to move up, this fight to me makes the most sense. Forget the rematch with Lomachenko. Even though I had it a draw, the thing is, this is how I look at it. Teofimo Lopez is younger, okay? So that means at 23 years old, when he steps back into that ring, say against Loma, at 23 and a half, possibly 24 years old, he's going to be stronger and he's going to be faster. Speed peak will probably last him, like in general, most athletes can get faster. Now, it won't be a night and day quickness, but you will get faster with some type of speed training up till about 30 years old. When you hit about 30 years old, you're pretty much capped out. And then however quickly you age, you'll start to teeter down on average. Some guys age super fast and are done by 26. There's no telling how people will age. I'm just using an average. So how I look at it is Teo, the next time him and Lomachenko fight will be faster and stronger. And he gained a lot of ring IQ from being in there with Loma, so he's going to be smarter. So My issue is, even though Lomachenko made Teofimo Lopez look bad at times and hit him with a lot of shots at will when he let his hands go, Loma is capped. He's not going to get any better. Loma is as good as he's going to be, okay? Whereas Teo will be better going into the second one. And I just think that in a rematch, I don't, even if Lomachenko would have won this fight closely, say a 7-5, in a rematch, with it being that tight, I don't see Loma winning a rematch if he had won the first one. Being that I had this a draw, some people will argue that Teo won 7-5. I think that in a rematch, Teo's only going to look better due to him already being very close to Lomachenko's cap at 23 years old. So again, with that being said, that fight doesn't make sense. Let's go ahead and move up. You've got all the belts. I don't feel like when you're undisputed, okay, it's different to me. Being undisputed means that you've beat everybody. Now, people will argue Devin Haney. Again, I'm going off of what I said earlier about the history books. When you're undisputed, you've already beat everybody. There's nobody left to beat. You've cleared out the division, okay? There might be some guys who are thought of as number 1, number 2 in the world, or underground king per se, but let's look at it like this. You've potentially, in this day and age and time, beat 4 champions. Teo beat 2 other champions in this case, okay? He beat Comey and Lomachenko. So he has beat the who's who of the division. At that point, in my opinion, if you're moving up in weight, it's not like heavyweight where you can't move up. If you move up in weight, there's no need to defend undisputed because you've already done everything you need to do to be undisputed. Once you win undisputed, in my opinion, it's time to move up. It really is. It really is. So I think him going to 140 is his best option. I don't really care about the rematch. If he doesn't give Lomachenko a rematch, I don't think that's him scared of ducking because he already fought him. You can't say that. That excuse is gone. So again, I have to come full circle and finish this long-running video. In my opinion, with Adrien Broner coming back, being that 140 was Adrien Broner's best weight, being that all eyes are on Teo, all eyes are always on Adrien Broner, I think this is the smartest fight to get Teo prepared for a Josh Taylor. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section because I respond to everybody. Whether you agree or disagree, I will respond to you. If I don't respond to you, it's because when you write certain things, YouTube automatically flags comments, right? I saw a couple of comments that were like 5 or 6 days old on my Teo video that a lot of people dislike because they're fanboys or fangirls, right? So I commented to a lot of y'all. The problem is I have to go through YouTube Studio and see comments that are held for review, okay? So if you write the wrong words, say the wrong things, YouTube automatically holds your comments, which means I don't see it. Unless I go through my YouTube Studio, which I don't do a lot, I won't see it till several days later. So if you disagree with me, choose your words carefully so I can see you without delay. And then I will respond to you immediately. If you don't choose your words carefully, then it might be a week, 2 weeks before I actually respond to you. But with that being said, I respond to everybody, especially if you can make it through a whole video of disagreeing with me. I respond to everybody because I appreciate you not agreeing with me by listening to me. I appreciate it. So thank y'all again for watching. Let me know what y'all think.